The President, Nana Akufo-Addo, has called on ECOWAS countries to pool resources to improve the living conditions of their people.
Toma and Takoradi ports to be automated to block leakages in revenue collection.
It's time for News Hour live on GBC24 and GTV. Good evening and you're welcome. My name is Yoko Kwakutre.
And my name is Evans Echampon. And in the studio to help with the sign language interpretation is Robert Frimpong Manso. Now to begin with, the President, Nana Akufo-Addo, has called on ECOWAS countries to pool resources to improve the living conditions of their people.
President Akufo-Addo was addressing a news conference with his Senegalese counterpart, Mr. Macky Sall, in Dakar. President Akufo-Addo said West African leaders have the ability to build strong economies that would advance the lives of their people.
President Akufo-Addo's arrival in the Senegalese capital Dakar signals the commencement of his second phase of his visit to ECOWAS countries to introduce himself as the leader of Ghana and affirm his commitment to the ideals underpinning ECOWAS. Senegal is rich in minerals, especially phosphates and iron ore. The former French colony's economy is driven by mining, fisheries, construction, and rich musical culture. Senegal is famous across Africa for the quality of its jewelry. President Akufo-Addo's visit, apart from introduction, is also to seek opportunities for partnership with ECOWAS countries to build the Ghanaian economy. The Senegalese president, Mr. Macky Sall, commended Ghana for upholding the tenets of democracy on the continent. He said the two countries have experiences to share in the area of natural resource management, since his country will soon go into oil, which Ghana has started for some time now. President Akufo-Addo charged ECOWAS to do more to improve the lives of its people. The president also praised the people of Senegal for upholding and promoting democracy, pledging Ghana's commitment at strengthening relations between the two countries.
We have the resources, but yet we're the poorest people, the African people in the world. The time has come for us to work together to break that cycle of poverty and bring about prosperity in our nations. And I believe that the leadership of a man like Macky Sall and others in Africa today, we have a real chance of working together to be able to achieve that end. That's why I'm particularly keen to put it at his disposal and the disposal of the Senegalese state, such experiences that we've had already with the development of our petroleum and gas resources. Already we've had some good and bad experiences. And if we can share those experiences with you who are about to enter this field, it will strengthen your hand in negotiating with the great, powerful petroleum companies that are such a dominant feature of the petroleum industry of the world. It's important that we continue to coalesce and work together.
President Akufo-Addo touched on the protocol of free movement of persons and spoke about the mutiny in Côte d'Ivoire's army.
Obviously, the events in Côte d'Ivoire are very disturbing. The measures that are being taken are both at the level of ECOWAS. You already heard the declaration, the statement that has been made by the chairperson of the authority, Her Excellency Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the President of Liberia and the current chair of ECOWAS, about the concern that ECOWAS has about what is taking place. Côte d'Ivoire is an extremely important member of our community, and the image, unfortunately for us, when something happens in one part of our region, it affects the image of our region completely. So people outside will think, oh, it's West Africa. They don't say it's Côte d'Ivoire, Senegal, or Ghana. They say it's West Africa. So the issue of peace and security in our various regions are matters of great moment for all of us. And I'm happy about the efforts that the government of President Alassane Ouattara is making to try and bring this matter to a conclusion.
Earlier, President Akufo-Addo was decorated with the highest national award of Senegal. This is due to his preparedness to advance the democracy in Africa.
Meanwhile, President Akufo-Addo says one of the challenges facing the energy sector in the country its $2.4 billion debt in the books of the VRA. Speaking to the Ghanaian community in Senegal, the president said, as part of measures to reduce the debt burden on the country's leading power generator, VRA, a bond will soon be issued on the market.
The meeting with the Ghanaian community in Senegal afforded the Ghanaians there the opportunity to be updated about development back home and what the new government is doing to improve the lot of their compatriots. President Akufo-Addo said Ghana's democracy is on course and commended his predecessor, former President Mr. John Dramani Mahama, for handing over peacefully. Corruption has been a major issue battling many governments, and President Akufo-Addo outlined some measures taken by his government to address the problem.
The first time, the very rare time, all the members of government have declared their assets. They did so in a rapid time. And the commitments we have made about making sure that we look after the public finances of our country, that's such an important commitment. We're bringing back competitive tendering for all transactions in the public sector. This sole sourcing and sitting in a room with one or two people and agreeing on things, that's over. We're not going back to that again in Ghana. We're going to make sure that the competitive basis for doing things is restored. The monies that are owed by VRA, the owed by ECG, the very, very extravagant contracts that we have signed for power supply have meant that as we speak now, $2.4 billion is what is owed, and maybe more, as we're now discovering, looking at the books and seeing exactly what is happening. That's a big, big, big constraint on the growth of our economy.
President Akufo-Addo said reviving the economy is a priority of his government so that the private sector can have a breathing space to expand their businesses and create jobs for the youth. The president took questions from the gathering with focus on the national identity cards and the economy.
The national ID process, as you know, it began very vigorously in the latter years of President Kufuor's government, but somehow in the last few years it has slowed down considerably. We have decided to re-energize the process, and the commitment we have is that by the end of this year we will have, for the domestic population, a comprehensive ID system in place by the end of this year. That's the commitment, and that's what they're working towards. In due course, they are also going to put out the plans as to how to capture you, the Ghanaians overseas, the Ghanaians in the diaspora, both here in Europe and America. That will be part of the programs they'll be unrolling. I'm not sure that Ghanaians overseas are going to be captured this year. I know the domestic population are going to be captured this year, but I believe that very soon after too, we'll be able to get you.
President Akufo-Addo appealed to them to come home and support the government.
Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia says the Tema and Takoradi ports will be automated to block leakages in revenue collection. He said once human discretion is eliminated in the chain, the collection system will be watertight. Dr. Bawumia was speaking at the Port Efficiency Conference in Accra.
Ghana currently has two major ports, the Takoradi and the Tema ports. Available statistics indicate that total cargo traffic volumes at the Tema port in 2016 rose by 10.5% over the previous year's performance. Local and transit imports increased by 8.4% and 19.6% over its 2015 performance. Ghana's ports have seen some improvements over the years by the creation of new berths, new terminals, upgraded equipment and implementation of several reforms to raise the efficiency of the ports, facilitate trade and improve revenue mobilization. In spite of all these efforts, Players at the port say more needs to be done to improve the level of port efficiency because cargo dwell time is still high compared to ports in South Africa, while the clearance of goods and the attendant costs such as demurrage and rent charges for 2016 was in the region of $100 million. These are the challenges the Port Efficiency Conference seeks to address. The conference brought experts from Singapore, Dubai, Antwerp, South Africa, and other leading port authorities across the world. The objective is to come out with a blueprint spelling out the actions and modalities necessary to ensure that Ghana's ports become efficient and competitive. The Minister for Transport, Mr. Kwekwesiama, said government will implement the recommendations from the forum to improve turnaround time and reduce revenue leakages.
This is the opportune time to take the bold decision to address the problems of revenue leakages due primarily to under-invoicing at the port. The government has the goodwill. This is the time for us to act. We need to act. We can act, and we are going to act. As a ministry, it is our hope and expectation that the solutions that will be proffered at the end of this conference would not only help to address the challenges at the port, but will also go a long way to inform policy direction of the ministry in this country.
The Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, said improving efficiency at the port is very critical to the government's development agenda and would do all it can to make the port's preferred destination for business in the sub-region.
We need a collective effort to deal with these serious issues that confront us as a nation. I am confident that this conference will come out with a blueprint spelling out the actions and modalities necessary for ensuring that our ports will become efficient and competitive. Nana Akufo-Addo wants nothing less than this. We are not going to kick the ball and say, let's have another conference and let's have another workshop. When we leave here, we are going to take some decisions. And we are going to take the decisions based on the recommendations that we have here. Everybody wants to work in the port. And then even the people working in customs, they come to me and say, I want a transfer. Where do you want to go? I want to go to the port. So there must be something that is happening there. And if people are making additional revenues, it means government is not getting those revenues. That is just the whole point. And so we are going to have to look at these systems, these human interfaces. How do we really get this into automation going?
The Vice President said the government will make all the needed resources available to put in place world-class technology to reduce human interface to improve upon turnaround time and above all, block the revenue leakages.
To the Ashanti region now, where the Director General of NADMO, Nana Ajiman Prempeh, has visited farming communities in whose maize and cocoa farms have been destroyed by armyworms. Agric experts say the worms would migrate to the 3 regions of the north in the next few weeks, but the NADMO boss has assured that everything possible is being done to avert the invasion of the pest in those parts of the country.
The fall armyworms lay between 100 and 300 eggs a day and multiply so fast such that in a matter of days they are able to completely destroy an entire maize farm. Information gathered by GBC24 indicates that all the 30 administrative districts of the Ashanti region have been affected by the attacks of the pest. The Asante Mampong and Ejura Setridumasi municipalities are said to be among the worst affected areas. The Director General of the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, Nana Ajiman Prempeh, accompanied by staff of the organization in the Ashanti region, visited some of the affected communities and farms in the Asante Mampong municipality to check on the extent of the destruction caused by the fall armyworms. Among the communities he visited are Chimfaso, and Bosumchiche, the Director General of NADMO, made a stopover at a maize farm at Chimfaso to inspect the attacks by the worms. He presented some agrochemicals to the farmers. He was approached by the head of research of the Thinking Technology, a group of university graduates who have invented a technology with local materials. Mr. Solomon Edu Obobi said the technology, christened AgriTrap, ensnares only the male moth that helps in the multiplication of the worms to drastically control the pest attacks. Mr. Obobi therefore appealed to government to patronize the technology to encourage innovation and job creation. The Ashanti Regional Director of NADMO, Mr. Kwabna Esentre, attested to the efficacy of the technology in managing the worms. At Bosumchiche, the Director General of NADMO interacted with the local farmers and educated them on the best practices to adapt to control the pest on their farms. The Thinking Technology distributed free samples of the locally produced organic fertilizer and pesticides to the farmers to improve their production levels. One of the farmers affected by the fall armyworms, Mr. Kwekuchere, complained about how the attacks has affected his entire 9-acre maize farm, causing a significant loss to his investment and hardship on his family. The Director General of NADMO, Nana Ajiman Prempe, admitted to the severity of the worm attack on the affected farms. He said measures are being taken to address the problems caused by the attack of the fall armyworms and to prevent it from spreading further to other areas.
Residents of Wita and adjoining communities in the Volta region are appealing to the government to restore their only source of potable water in the area. GBC24 reporter Sarah Fori, who has been to Wita, reports that the only water reservoir built for the communities over a decade ago is in a bad state.
Located within the Ketu North constituency of the Volta region is Beta. It is home to some of the country's renowned poets like the late Professor Kofi Awuno and Professor Kofi Anidowo. Veta in Anglo means the overlord of the abyss, and that alone should suggest at first sight a well-developed town. The once bustling location for the quarry site for the Keta Sea defense during its construction is now a pale shadow of itself. There are no tarred roads, and this feeder road is the only major road to the town. Rarely does a vehicle drive past on the stretch, except for motorbikes, mostly commercially operated.
A motorbike is very fast, very, very fast. Well, they will take you to the junction and pick you from the junction. It will take them straight to their various houses, even into their room, Kwampo.
But it must have some limitations. Let's say if you're happy.
Yes, they sometimes take a load, but they cannot take that much like what the taxi can do. They are very clever in doing the business. If they see you, like you come from Accra, they will charge you differently.
Francis Yao Agbukeme is the chairman of the Beta citizens living in Accra, and he is our tour guide. He tells the team that Beta is pivotal to about 8 adjoining communities where indigents converge during market days, festivals, funerals and other occasions. Education is prominent with some visible infrastructure, even though not in the best of shape. There is a health center that offers anti and postnatal care, child welfare clinic, preventive and curative care, as well as family planning and adolescent services, but has no ambulance to convey the sick. The town is connected to the national grid, but same cannot be said about potable water. The people mostly depend on wells dug in their homes and harvested rainwater. This water reservoir, we are told by the tour guide, Mr. Agbukeme, was built over a decade ago and has not been maintained. It is now a death trap. The metal rail supporting the reservoir is rusty. The concrete pillars are cracked, revealing the corroded metal rods. The pipes connected to the reservoir leaks with spirogyra, a kind of green algae found in freshwater environments, growing around it. The chiefs and people of Beta are therefore appealing to government to have the structure rehabilitated. For GBC24.
Hello, good evening and welcome. Time now for some business updates brought to you by NIB and Ernest Chemist. I'm Dorothy Ajimine. Germany and Brazil are collaborating with the government of Ghana in a research into how to make cashew more viable. The project, which has been supported with 700,000 euros from these two countries, will last for 2 years. Cashew cultivation in Ghana started in the 1960s with sporadic plantings in the central and greater Accra regions and later in the Bnahafu, Northern, Upper East and Upper West regions. In 1983, the interest in cashew cultivation rekindled with the introduction of the Economic Recovery Program. The crop was identified as one of the major non-traditional crops to be developed as part of government's efforts to diversify the country's export base. Ghana exports about 150,000 tons of the commodity due to imports from neighboring countries like Burkina Faso, Ivory Coast and Guinea. The Trilateral Cooperation Project is a move by government with Brazil and Germany to develop and share experience, all with the aim of accelerating research on high-quality cashew varieties. These varieties would be able to tolerate the major diseases and pests well adapted to local conditions. The Brazilian ambassador to Ghana, Mr. Lodema Aguiar, said Ghana becomes the 20th country to benefit from Embraba, an African-Brazil agriculture innovation marketplace platform. The German ambassador to Ghana, Mr. Christoph Retzlaff, said his country's contribution towards the agricultural sector in Ghana focuses on employment and income generation, productivity, market linkages and capacity development. A Deputy Minister for Food and Agriculture, Mr. William Kwetu, said upon completion of the project, though modest when adopted, the issue of non-competitiveness of the local processing industry would be addressed.
The cashew world have accepted that the future of cashew is with Africa, and they are ready to support and develop it using regional block development approach. Ghana is all for it, and I am particularly happy that the cashew industry in Ghana has already been the focus of engagement. Further, the government is working with industry players to set up a cashew regulatory board to maintain law and order in the industry, including pricing mechanism to benefit all actors in the cashew value chain.
A Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry, Mr. Carlos Ahenkra, said Ghana can boast of 13 processing raw cashew nuts companies in major cashew growing districts, expecting to process between 20 to 30% of the annual production volumes, but only 2 are able to compete with the raw cashew nut exporters at the peak price of 8 cedis per kilo for the 2017 season.
People find it easier to carry the raw cashew nuts out than manufacture or produce them here. When they buy this cashew here in the raw form and take out, the cost to them in the raw form forms only 35% of the final product cost outside. So therefore, it means they are making a lot of profit by taking this raw cashew out, aside not getting the opportunity to employ people locally to work on this.
The team would make a field trip to some of the cashew research stations, and based on findings and technical inputs from Ghanaian counterparts, the team will retreat for an internal planning workshop. Ghana will host Africa's first ever Global Aviation Expo in October 2017. Ahead of the event, former President John Agyekum Kufuor is wooing investors into the country's aviation sector, given the tremendous growth witnessed over the years. In an interview with GBC24, the former president said Ghana is strategically positioned to be the aviation hub on the continent.
Ghana's aviation sector has visibly received a boost over the past years with the construction of a third terminal at the Kotoka International Airport and the construction of an airport in the northern and Volta regions. Currently, almost all international airlines have footprints in the country, Air France being the latest. It is estimated that about 2 million passengers traveled in and out of the country last year. Although a lot more needs to be done, Ghana has secured the rights to host Africa's first ever aviation expo scheduled for October 24th to 26th. Ahead of the fair, former President John Agyekum Kufuor is inviting investors into the country's aviation space.
Any company coming from east, west, north, south would want to stop in a place like our airport for refueling and rechandling to make passengers comfortable here. And then around the airport, you've got a city like Accra that is now spreading so decently and so beautifully. We've got a good city now. And when people have to stop over, they have good hotels to go and sleep in, and they are looked after well. The atmosphere is safe. We have things we have to exploit, and we can't exploit them without exposing the advantages to the bigger world for people to see that this is the place to come to, the gateway, perhaps to, if not to the entire continent of Africa, at least to West Africa. And West Africa has a population of about 300 million.
Originate, a Ghanaian integrated marketing communications company, will be in charge of planning and executing the expo. The chief executive officer of the company, William Ansah, stressed the importance of the aviation sector to Ghana's development.
If you look at the contribution of aviation to the developed countries, like you go to Dubai, like you go to Qatar, and you go to the US, the UK, then you know that it's a strategic sector that you need to have some form of concentration there. It's a sector that is generating millions of cedis on a daily basis to those who are in that sector. If you have...
He revealed that about 905 players in the aviation sector have expressed interest in the fair.
The Ghana Airport Company is going to make it mandatory for all the airline companies that are operating in the country to be participants. And I can tell you, of all those who are providing the support services that they think people do not actually know or appreciate what they are doing, these people are all fighting along the line to be able to participate in this expo, so that people will know that I provide catering services to the aviation industry.
The expo is expected to foster a more conducive atmosphere for African countries to cooperate, allowing more direct flights between them and developing relationships with non-African partners.
You're watching the business segment of News Hour. On the interbank markets, the cedi stabilized against the pound sterling and depreciated by 2 pesos against the US dollar. It's also depreciated by 5 pesos against the euro. Up next is the board. We now go over to the commodities market.
And that's it for the business segment, brought to you by NIB and Ernest Chemist. The health segment is after this break. Please do stay.
Welcome back. It's time for some health news brought to you by Yamvita and FPAC. Now, GBC24 covered a news story of an 8-year-old Victoria Pezi who was suffering from a congenital disease called hairy nevus. It's a skin condition characterized by an abnormally dark skin patch on the body and noticeable at birth. 8,000 Ghana cedis was solicited from the general public for Victoria's surgery. Currently, Victoria has undergone the surgery and will soon be discharged from the surgical department of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital.
Victoria Kweze, an 8-year-old child who was suffering from a hairy patch on her face, otherwise known as congenital hairy nevus, has undergone surgery successfully. An appeal for funds yielded 8,000 Ghana cedis.
My side, please understand, it wasn't easy, but it was worth it.
A consultant surgeon at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, Dr. Albert Pencil, said Victoria will be at the hospital for some time for her wounds to heal before she will be discharged.
Within 2 weeks, there is no infection if she heals very well. If we need more skin for something else for her, we can even go back to the same type. We'll get more skin to use.
The left eyebrow.
No, you know it was diseased. The left eyebrow was diseased, so we've taken that off. But because we are plastic surgeons, we can always reconstruct
an eyebrow.
Yes. And what we'll do is I will take skin from any hair-bearing area, and the commonest is the scalp. So on top of her head, we take just a small strip, move to that place, and she'll get an eyebrow that will match the one on the right side.
The founder and chief executive officer of Rabito Clinic, Professor Edmond Dele, who diagnosed the disease on Little Victoria, thanked the general public for their support. He also urged parents to consult a dermatologist or seek medical advice anytime they see any small mark on their child. If diagnosed to be a medical condition, preventive measures are quickly taken. Failure will see the spot degenerating into the congenital hairy nevus disease.
We must thank Father Campbell, the pastor of Christ the King Catholic Church, the Victory Presbyterian Church Adenta, and I'm really grateful to the general public and particularly to Janet who approached me, and we had good support from everybody. The advice to the public is that as soon as you find lesions like this on a child, no matter the age, even 3 weeks or 1 week old, 1 month old, 3 months old, you should immediately report to the nearest hospital and then let them get the advice of the dermatologist close by.
The congenital hairy nevus disease is usually present at birth, and at least 1% of newlyborns have the disease. The mark becomes bigger and can degenerate into cancer if not treated at incipient stages.
Here's my side, please understand, it wasn't easy.
And that was the health segment brought to you by Yamvita and FPAC.
Hello, good evening. Let's talk sports. I'm Theophilus Sampa. The Ghana Triathlon Federation has organized a sixth race in the country. Triathletes Abdul, Rauf Zakari and Leila Weburi Zangui won in the male and female divisions.
More than 50 triathletes from Ghana and neighboring countries participated in the Seth Kempinski Cowbell Race Series. A triathlete is a person who participates in 3 different events during a competition, and as such, the competition had athletes competing in the 600-meter swim, 18.9-kilometer bike, and a run of 5.6 kilometers. There was an individual race, and the relays where 3 athletes, a swimmer, a cyclist, and a runner teamed up to participate. From the Legon swimming pool, participants went through some principal streets of the university campus and back to the finish line at the swimming pool area. In the men's category, Abdul Rauf Zakari set a new record after finishing with a time of 1 hour and 7.45 seconds. Sam Papai followed closely with a time of 1 hour, 8 minutes and 15 seconds. Pierre Cavanel came second with a time of 1 hour, 14.39 seconds. In the ladies event, African triathlon champion Leila Zamwi won with a time of 1 hour 24.49 seconds. Annie Besakan came second with 1 hour 28.54 seconds, with Tracy Gerber finishing with a time of 1 hour 46.37 seconds. In the relays, a new record was set as the trio of junior swim sensation Kwao Jackson, Milo Marathon winner Alhaji Kasim Mohammed, and one of the finest cyclists in Ghana, Isaac Saki, finished the race under 1 hour 57.14 seconds. Team 4 came second with 1 hour and 8.43 seconds, with Team 3 finishing third with 1 hour 23.52 seconds. Medals and tokens from sponsors were presented to deserving winners. Here are some reactions from some winners.
I'm very happy. The last time I did this, we were third, and this time we're first, setting a new record, and I'm very proud.
The ultimate is the Olympics. I'm working towards getting a medal, not just going to the Olympics, but then getting a medal.
The dream, the vision of attaining the Olympic medal, not just going for the competition, but earning a medal in that competition.
Now I've seen that I've improved whilst I'm racing continuously. So I think today is good.
The president of the Ghana Triathlon Federation, Mr. Bawa Fuseni, and the marketing manager of Kempinski Gold Coast City were happy at the turn-off event.
The reason why we decided to partner was that we saw an opportunity for growth, and so far our experience has been tremendous. It started with I think about 2 participants. As of today, we had 50 plus participants.
Next for the Ghana Triathlon Federation is the first July Championship.
The Ministry of Youth and Sports has promised to pay the affiliation fees of the Netball Association of Ghana. The Chief Director at the Ministry of Youth and Sports, Mr. Frank Quest, revealed this during the Congress of the Federation in Accra.
The Netball Federation has held its Congress in Accra. Congress discussed issues bordering on netball and how to whip up interest in it for it to become a vibrant sport in the country. Congress was attended by officials from the GOC, the Ministry of Youth and Sports, among others. The president of the Ghana Netball Federation, Reverend Emmanuel Nikwe, briefed delegates on the true state of the federation.
And so to Gabon now, where the Black Starlets made it 2 wins out of 2 and also a 9-goal Heroes after they banged in 5 goals to beat the Gabonese side by 5-0, and also pick one of the tickets to the upcoming World Cup, which will be staged in India later in the year. We're wrapping it up now, and then we'll bring you more updates at 10. But next is entertainment.
Welcome to the entertainment segment of the news. WCW is an abbreviation that means Women Crush Wednesday. It's a popular hashtag that began on Twitter, where people are allowed to tag posts about women they admire. Today, the entertainment desk is crashing on some Ghanaian female gospel musicians.
Bits of entertainment news. Up next, the Winco weather report.
Ridomil Gold Plus. Spraying technique. Spray your cocoa pods with Ridomil Gold Plus to protect your harvest from black pod. To get a good harvest, you should use Ridomil Gold Plus every 4 weeks from the start of the rainy season until September. The best time to spray Ridomil Gold Plus is early in the morning before 11 a.m. Later in the day, the change in wind direction may blow the Ridomil Gold Plus away from the pods and pollute the person spraying. Spray the Ridomil Gold Plus onto the cocoa pods. Spray each pod from the top of the tree to the bottom of the tree. When you have sprayed all the pods on the tree, move on to the next tree until you have sprayed all the trees on your farm. Remember to use 150-gram sachet of Ridomil Gold Plus per each tankful of water and 6 50-gram sachet of Ridomil Gold Plus for every acre of your cocoa farm.
That's all for the weather update. And on that note, we end the news for now. Thank you so much for watching.
Good evening.